After we announced my pregnancy, my sister-in-law's plan to humiliate me at my husband's party backfired, landing her in jail and a divorce. For the last 7 years, I, 29F, have been wed to Harry. Except for his relationship to his sister, Kayla, who brings all the negative into our life, I enjoy everything about our marriage. Now don't get me wrong, when I initially met Kayla, I loved her. But with time, I rapidly changed my view. She is poisonous, manipulative, and really negative. Knowing the kind of person she is, I have worked hard over years to be on her good side. My husband dated Syl's best friend when he was 17 in the past, but they subsequently broke up since he felt under pressure to be with her because of Syl. His sister said he and another friend of hers should be together when he turned 23 and discovered he was single, but he disagreed. She went crying to their parents about how she wanted him to wed someone she felt comfortable with, but his parents hardly really listened to her throughout their great battle. While my husband and I were meeting and falling in love, his parents were quite encouraging, but Syl always treated me coldly. She would always bring up Harry's exes for no apparent reason whenever I was present, reminding him of how well they were doing and suggesting how he could get in touch with them. This continued for some time. Harry also thought this strange and would ask her to stop bringing up his exes. I was not the only one who saw this. Then Syl would get enraged and start mocking me, claiming I was jealous and Harry shouldn't be with someone like me. Syl would deliberately invite one of Harry's exes whenever his parents would call us for supper, saying she had inadvertently come across them that day and had to ask them politely. She doesn't follow me, but she checks my Instagram constantly as well. Since I have a public account, I observed she is usually the first person to see my stories. Should a man comment on my photograph, she would then go to her brother and grumble over how I was sharing indecent images of myself. Harry and I would actually chuckle at her claims. She persuaded Harry to split off with me when he and I agreed to live together, telling him I had many defects as a woman and that she could find someone far better than him. Since I had been just friendly to her all along, this comment really wounded me. Sadly, Sil's treatment of me got even more bad as soon as Harry and I were engaged. Everyone started applauding Harry and me as we revealed our engagement, but I observed Kayla was somewhat quiet. Then, startled everyone, she sprang up from her chair and left our gathering. Later, she called Harry, sobbing and yelling about how she didn't value receiving the news with everyone else as she felt she was the closest to him and deserved to be the first one to know of his engagement. Later on, she messaged me nearly borderline threateningly, advising me on how I should treat her brother as she had always been the only female in his life. I nearly shuddered over the strange message. I left her message on scene, which I know must have offended her even more, not even bothered responding. Every time Syl saw me, she started to progressively ignore me. She stayed involved in all the wedding preparations for whatever reason, like when I went dress shopping and had my bridal shower. Though both my future mother-in-law and fiancé called her out on it several times, her criticism of the wedding reached a whole new level as she freely expressed her unhappiness with my decisions. Her actions persisted. One day, Kayla overheard me talking about the centerpiece with my future mother-in-law. She started to make fun of me right away, stating how my decision had no class and how this was why she wanted her brother to wed someone better. For me, that was the tipping point and I lost control. I made it plain to her that she was no longer invited to our wedding and yelled at her that I could not stand her continual taunting and criticism anymore. Shocked and gasping in surprise as if she had never expected me to challenge her, Kayla was infuriated even by my mother-in-law, who backed me. Later on, Kayla contacted Harry, moaning about how I embarrassed her and insisting he should control me since I would be his wife. Harry insisted strongly that he supported my choice and that she would not be invited to the wedding should she not atone. She grudgingly texted me a sincere apology. I saw it and, once more, left on read. I was already tired from getting ready for my wedding, and I wanted nothing to do with her drama. She did visit our wedding in the end since I wanted her to not criticize us afterward. Everyone, including the guests, seemed to have no issue following the pink tones and pastels chosen for my wedding. But Syl arrived looking as though she were attending a funeral, a black floor-length gown with a veil. To put it mildly, we were stunned. Syl visited everyone sharing her grief at losing her brother to another woman. My husband approached Syl about her discomfort with her wedding attire at the reception. Saying that she had the right to wear whatever she chose and that I was too domineering, she sought to portray the victim. When her non-stop scene-making persisted, my mother-in-law and father-in-law ultimately ordered her to leave. It was embarrassing for me. Ever since that day I avoid her. I forbade Syl anywhere near our kid when I delivered my son Nate. She tried to oppose it but my husband's parents had my back. They supported my choice and knew exactly why I wanted Syl far from my infant. Syl suffered a miscarriage with her then-boyfriend Jamie 2 years ago and it totally shattered her. For everyone, that was indeed a depressing period. Given our already childbearing status, Harry and I felt bad for her. We chose to be somewhat more lenient following her miscarriage. She could connect with our kid Nate, so we would welcome her to our house. Despite her behavior with me, she has been rather lovely to our son, really shocking. She looked to have changed at first, but with time she returned to her former self. She constantly talks about how difficult her life is, how things never seem to go for her, and blames ex-friends or managers for upsetting her life. I have found over time that she is never wrong in her thinking. She is always attempting to get people on her side by playing the victim card and hardly acknowledges any flaws in confrontations. She chose to get married this year and invited everyone to save us. Given our relationship seemed to have improved, Harry was surprised to learn we were not invited. She began to explain how she won't let me come since I would cause disturbance to her wedding when we questioned her about it. Having never done anything to her, I phoned and asked her why she would think something like that. Kayla began to tell how she had deliberately dressed in all black for our wedding, so now she was worried that I might do the same and this was why she wanted me off-site. I informed my spouse straightforwardly about how manipulative she was, outraged about it. After discussing with his parents, Harry decided to let Sil know they would neither be attending the wedding nor would they pay for it. This turned Sil to tears, and she began to blame me for starting this disaster. Her husband told her she had no right to be pointing fingers at me as she had freely admitted her own error. Kayla, however, explained her behavior by stating that I should just get over it since our wedding was long ago. Later, she contacted me to apologize and ask for forgiveness as FIL and MIL were still not paying for her wedding. Though I hate to say it, Kayla can be quite charming and convincing when she wants something. I wanted to just go forward from the past and forgave her. Her wedding to Jamie went perfectly. We all showed up and had fun. Not even 6 months later, Kayla appeared at our door grumbling about her marriage failing. For a few days, Harry and I let her stay with us where she would spend endless hours venting about her husband. They appeared to be struggling to conceive, and Kayla was obviously blaming Jamie for everything. When I went to speak to Kayla, she insisted it was entirely her husband's responsibility. She would be hyper-focused on our lives and try to create things that didn't exist when she was not grumbling about her husband. For instance, usually every morning before heading to work I visit the gym. When I'm running late, I occasionally grab my work clothes so I may finish my workout, have a bath, and change into my business wear. Sael observed this for some time and would have many questions about it, including why I was bathing or why I even needed to visit the gym. I didn't give it much thought and would tell her how I liked keeping my weight and how I disliked visiting the office all sweaty. She would nod and lick her lips. Mill was telling us about a friend of hers who was divorcing right at lunch. She left her friend's spouse and grabbed half of his assets after learning about his adultery with her. Sael stopped her abruptly to ask my husband whether he and I had signed a prenup before we were married. We paused to stare at her. We stopped eating. She glanced at my husband expectantly as if I hadn't even arrived. My husband told her straightforwardly that he is not someone who minces his words as he and I both made rather good money and we felt no need for a prenup. Sil snorted and began to say that he could be blindsided any day and that cheats abound today. Her statements offended me, therefore I asked her to clarify exactly what she meant. Sil then began to remark how I was obviously meeting someone as I was usually carrying change of clothing everywhere and that, as Harry's sister, it was her obligation to warn her brother. These were shocking remarks for me. Phil and Mil arrived right away to save her from continuing to fabricate such things and advised she shouldn't interfere with others' affairs. Without missing a beat, Sil continued to emphasize how she was only trying to be there for her brother and began to joke if our son Nate was indeed Harry's son since he didn't quite look like him. I swear I watched the redness of wrath on my husband's face. In my life, I never had seen him this enraged. Looking Kayla squarely in the eye, he informed her that she was not a mother yet as she did not deserve to be one and that her child would be better off in paradise than with someone like her. Kayla's lips hung in stunned disbelief. Mil and Phil simply watched silently as my husband left Kayla complaining about her being a shameless person trying to ruin everything since her life had nothing to offer. She was merely a loser, he informed her, doing nothing all day while her husband worked nonstop. He kept saying that since she was plainly projecting, she should focus on her own marriage instead of pointing fingers at me and asking about prenups. Reduced to tears, Kayla began to wail. Expecting comfort, she turned to Jamie, seated just next to her, but he never spoke. My husband never has this kind of mental collapse. She eventually got up from her chair and dashed into the toilet. My husband was boiling over. I stroked his hand and Mill arrived to cool him down. Understanding just how annoying she could be, I nodded as he apologized for what his sister had said about our son. Having taken enough from Kayla over the years, I was somewhat relieved that my husband stood up for me so publicly. He apologized to Jamie but totally ignored Kayla once he cooled off. That day following lunch, we returned to no interaction with Kayla. Her actions were impacting my husband in addition to me. We simply barred her from everything so she could get in touch with us. After lunch, Mil and Phil spoke with us and decided Kayla had gone too far this time. They could see how their usually quiet son had gone wild after Kayla had persisted in pushing him. We last spoke with her a year ago, and everything has been running without problems. 2 months ago I discovered what I was expecting. Given our lack of effort, this was quite unexpected. To welcome another family member makes my spouse and me blessed. We decided to let everyone know on my husband's birthday since we were waiting for the proper moment to do so. Wanting to honor Harry, Mil and Phil were throwing a great celebration in their lawn. Invited were our close friends and relatives. Sil chose to show her face after hearing about this from others. When we saw her, my husband and I staggered. Coming to hug Harry, Sil told him how much she had missed him and how sorry she was for their last talk. Taking my hand, my spouse advised his sister to be apologetic to me because she had pointed fingers at my character. Sil nodded, looked at me, then apologized. She informed me how she had been attending therapy for the previous few months and came to see how inappropriate it was for her to treat me like that. Though I disagreed with everything she said, I nodded as I wanted to be polite to her in front of everyone. Since this was a gathering for my husband, Mil and Phil checked in on us and informed us that should we feel uncomfortable, they would kick her out as they had no knowledge she would be arriving. Harry, however, insisted on not creating a scene, hence we decided to leave this go. It seemed strange as Sil was laughing and socializing with everyone during the celebration. She mentioned visiting a therapist, so I wanted to provide her the benefit of the doubt even though she appeared overly optimistic, completely not her nature. Harry spoke movingly about how he thought he was the luckiest man on earth, appreciative of yet another year spent with a lady like me, when it came time to cut the cake. His remarks made me flush with delight. As we were when we first started dating all those years ago, I couldn't help but value the fact that my husband and I were still intensely in love. Then Harry and I made the decision to let everyone know some fantastic news. Grinning, we said we were having a baby and everyone paused to consider before yelling in delight. My mother rushed up to hug me and started to cry. As Phil saluted Harry and myself, tears streamed down his face. Everyone was eager to know whether we had chosen baby names and was clearly delighted for us. Sil was the one sore thumb that caught out. She seemed stunned. Her mood changed and she simply turned away from us, appearing irritated, so I assumed maybe she was processing things slowly. Though I was a little concerned, thinking she would ruin yet another party for us, I was sidetracked with other individuals approaching to chat. I got up to assist my in-laws carry lunch, but Rick and my parents begged me to stay seated, telling me I should not even move at this point. Sil approached me beaming as I was calmly waiting for my husband to bring me a meal. Lively saying that she personally wanted to offer me dinner, since she was so excited about my pregnancy, she handed me a dish. She even said as she passed me the plate about how she wanted to make it up to me for all the times she had been nasty to me in the past. I nodded and politely approved. She then turned to go. I was ready to start digging when I fortunately found she had put shrimp on my dish. I know I am quite allergic to shrimp, hence I was surprised Sil even brought me this. Disappointed, I shook my head and got up to get my own lunch. Jamie approached me at that point to wish well on my pregnancy. After a little conversation, he asked me why I hadn't been eating. Jamie reassured me not to worry and removed the dish from my hands after I pointed out how Sil had served me shrimp, probably by error. Since he enjoyed eating shrimp, he told me he could have this dish. I could buy a fresh plate for myself. I nodded, grinned, then turned aside. Jamie began to puke and retch across this dish 5 minutes later, not even 5. Concerned, everyone stopped eating and watched him stagger to get out of his seat. Concerned Harry and Kayla hurried towards him. Jamie gestured at his plate, then at his throat. Our eyes grew wide with amazement as we realized what he had eaten definitely made something wrong with him evident. Jamie passed out, then everyone gasped in amazement and worry. Kayla hurried over to examine his dish, and her eyes grew shocked. She turned to stare at me and inquired whether I had handed her husband my plate. I nodded. Someone called for an ambulance amid the tumult and he was hurried to the hospital. Through all of this, Kayla was sobbing nonstop and was staring angrily at me. Jamie had been poisoned, we were told later on. Knowing that the plate belonged originally to me, I nearly passed out upon hearing this. Jamie consumed may have poisoned my baby and me. Not yet known to Harry, Mil, Fel, or my parents is this. Since nobody knew what was in the food he consumed that had caused him to faint in this manner, the police were summoned to get evidence from it. Jamie is still in recovery in the hospital while I'm typing this. Kayla stayed with him overnight. Relatives calling to find out what happened to Jamie and who might have poisoned him have my husband and I fielding calls. What has transpired shakes Mil and Phil. They are sleeping over at our house since they are terrified to return back to their house. Nobody knows what happened abruptly while everything was going so nicely. Tell everyone that the plate originally belonged to me and how Kayla had come and presented it to me makes me terribly afraid. Should this evolve into an inquiry, I will have to tell the cops the truth. Though most importantly I am now rather concerned about what my Phil could do to me, I feel quite awful about what has transpired. I don't want to be around her, nor can I bring my kids anywhere close to her as she obviously has no restraints about trying to poison me. I feel bad about handing Jamie my meal and maybe contaminating my bill. Update 1. Whoa, thanks for the thousands of comments on this post in just a few hours. I never would have guessed I could have received these many answers. I typed this earlier and had shaking hands. I haven't been able to sleep. Though what everyone says, I do feel somewhat accountable for the event involving my bill. I should have simply tossed the dish away. I'm not sure why I let him grab it from me. I keep crying about his future. Knowing something is awry, my hubby has been hovering close to me. Though he doesn't know what I know about his sister, he believes I'm only worried. I agree with the remarks saying I should get down and gently chat to everyone. Although I'm not sure if everyone will believe me, Mil and Phil do have security cameras set all around the house. Given that this birthday celebration took place in their backyard, I am confident they could check and confirm via their cameras that Kayla presented me the plate. I'll speak with everyone tonight then update. Update 2, we then chatted, and I am very happy to have the nicest in-laws on planet Earth. Mil and Phil are already staying over with us, so I sat down with Harry and them over dinner to let them know I had something crucial to share. I began by inhaling deeply, the weight of the circumstances slumping on my shoulders. Everyone gathered around. I related the birthday party's events, including how Sil had handed me a plate of prawns and Jamie had unintentionally consumed it, causing his sickness. Their shock and incredulity reflected my own as I spoke. Mil and Phil looked at each other, clearly worried. Harry's face transformed from uncertainty to rage. I went on expressing my concern about Sil's intentions and past attempts to hurt me. Faced with the possible repercussions for myself and our unborn kid, I hesitated to share this material. Being the pragmatic woman Mil is, she advised right away looking at the security camera tape. Given the gravity of the matter, Phil nodded in agreement. Though clearly offended, Harry stayed quiet to process the startling disclosure. Reviewing the security footage from their camera app, the truth was indisputable. The video shows Sil presenting to me the poisoned plate and then what happened to cause Jamie's suffering. The weight of the data made no space for uncertainty. As the knowledge sank in, emotions ran strong. Now totally aware of his sister's evil intentions, Harry battled to control his wrath. Their daughter's activities horrified Mil and Phil, who also found the extent she had gone to cause disturbance shocking. Stunned in silence, we tried to figure out why she would act in such a manner. Given this is a very serious issue, my in-laws have opted to forward this material to the police following this disclosure. Jamie is the one who has to lodge charges on Sil, hence Phil and my husband will be visiting and meeting him after he recovers. I want to cry every time I consider how I let Jamie have my poisoned dish. I have no idea how Jamie will react. I am very anxious about him, so I cannot eat anything right or sleep. I will let you know about anything noteworthy. Update 3. Alright lads, I'm back with an update at last. Although I know it has been a month since my previous update, right now I'm a pregnant woman experiencing a lot. First things first, she was detained after seeing the proof. My in-laws handed the recording to the police. Kayla admitted everything right away and did not even dispute the claims. She started crying. Jamie was as startled as any of us when my husband approached him about what had transpired. Tell him he would always be a part of our family regardless of what he decided to do. My husband advised him to press charges against his sister since this was such a wicked thing to do. Once Jamie recovered, he not only chose to prosecute charges but also sought divorce. Emotional and begging them to pardon her, Kayla called Mil and Phil. As it happens, Kayla is pregnant herself. She tried to control them by telling them they should do this for the benefit of their granddaughter, begging them to bail her out. Phil strongly advised her, nevertheless, that she should at last learn to own her acts and that they were done coddling her. Though Mil is quite depressed about what is happening to her daughter, she knows that her actions cannot be simply forgiven. The cops discovered proof she had tampered with the meal, meant to damage me, which backfired and resulted in injury to her husband. She has been charged with several offenses including risking life, causing damage, and tampering with food, thereby compromising integrity. Saying how this was all my fault anyhow, Kayla had been pleading Jamie not to charge her. Fortunately, Jamie's mind is set on punishing her. Her court hearing will begin shortly. I doubt she can flee this time. My son and I are doing okay, to everyone inquiring. In the meantime, about what his aunt has done, he is clueless. We want our son to know and avoid these circumstances, hence Harry and I have discussed and we do intend to sit down with him and tell him the truth. Having a difficult but absolutely vital conversation with a young child will be challenging but essential. As instructed by my doctor, I also get frequent ultrasounds for my pregnancy every 2 weeks. We want the kid to be a surprise, hence we do not intend to find out her gender. Knowing what has happened to Kayla, my parents have been somewhat protective of me. They are urging me to see treatment since they are concerned this could compromise my psychological well-being during the pregnancy. I agree with them as, while behaving normally, I have a deep-rooted phobia of what Kayla did to my meals and avoid eating any outside food or anything I have not made myself. Hopefully, my husband will help me to overcome this illogical phobia as he knows about it and supports me all through. Update 4. I last checked 8 months ago. Kayla is a prisoner right now. She came out guilty on the allegations. Though I never went to her court hearings, occasionally my in-laws would tell me how Kayla came clean to the court admitting years of jealousy of me. She had always dreamed of one of her best friends marrying my husband, hence when he started dating me, she would always try to harass me since she never wanted an outsider to marry her brother. She became jealous when we told my husband's birthday party we were expecting as she was also going to reveal her pregnancy. She wanted to share her wonderful news since she had miscarried once, but she felt we stole her opportunity to shine. She became so enraged then, from her pregnancy hormones, mixed a little bit of rat poison with my supper. She said she wanted me to wind up in the hospital but she never wanted to physically hurt the baby or myself. She said she deserved a reduced punishment as she never expected me to offer her husband my plate and since I essentially poisoned her spouse. Of course, the judge answered her pleadings. She was put to prison and will be far from our life for some considerable while. Jamie is also at last free since she has also effectively divorced him. We have seen him over the months and keep including him into our family events whenever we can. He informed me that it was never my fault when we spoke and I profusely apologized to him for handing my plate to him. Hearing that I had been rehearsing it over and over again in my thoughts, wishing I could have done things differently so he was never poisoned, I started to cry. That Jamie is doing well right now makes me happy. Regarding Harry and myself, our family now boasts a baby daughter. Our daughter's presence has warmed and lit our life despite the shadows of the past still there. Being a big brother makes our son Nate very happy, and he has been loving and caring toward his little sister. Seeing our kids connect makes us appreciate things. My parents and in-laws have been there for us all through, guiding us through this new phase of our life. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.